Hello, welcome back to Adrenaline Fueled Firearms, or if you're here for the first time, welcome. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'd like to thank the folks who've already subscribed, and hopefully some of you will like and subscribe to the video, because currently I'm doing this out of my own pocket. So thanks to my only sponsor, me, for my infinite generosity in basically funding my ability to put my opinion on the internet. It's kind of self-serving. Oh well, so moving on, thanks to all the narcissists. And we're going to talk a little bit about something that I just basically glossed over in the last video on building ARs. So this is kind of a build your first AR video. Talk a little bit about some mistakes I made and some advice that will hopefully prevent other people from making the same errors. Maybe not. The biggest error you can make, though, is failure to research. Be sure you just research the ever-living crap out of everything, and I mean everything. Even when you're dealing with an AR15, which is theoretically pretty much the easiest thing to build from scratch, or to build from scratch, well, problems happen. Mistakes are made. The biggest thing is safety and preliminary research and getting yourself an idea of a budget. Now, speaking of budget, we'll go over that first. I say, even today, in 2023, with all the supply chain issues, you can get into an AR that you do yourself right around $1,000. You're going to go up from there, but it's real bloody hard to get under that mark. And that's building it yourself, meaning you didn't do the upper. I recommend not doing your own upper the first time around. I didn't. Matter of fact, I haven't actually done an AR-15 upper myself at this time. There are so many options out there for uppers. And the biggest thing is, the biggest part that can fail, or the biggest pieces that can be improperly assembled by you as a noob, involve the upper itself. Because like any other firearm, your barrel has to be head spaced to whatever your bolt assembly is. So given the vast number of options available in both those categories, there's a much higher potential that your headspace is not going to be perfect using parts from various different vendors and putting them together. That said, if you go that route, definitely have a gunsmith double check it your first time around, your headspace. It's very, very important. I can't stress that part enough. However, if you purchase a complete upper from a reputable vendor, the risk is much, much lower. Not zero, but much, much lower. I mean, it's up there with zombie apocalypse. I mean, yeah, it could happen, but hopefully not. We'll see. I purchased the majority of my AR-15 uppers from a company called Bear Creek Arsenal, who, by the way, doesn't sponsor this video, but if someone from BCA sees my videos, I own all your calibers. I would really love like some kickbacks or something. Okay, I don't own all your calibers. I sold your 243, and I mean, who shoots friggin' SOCOM? I mean, come on, guys. 458 SOCOM is overpriced. It sucks. All right, so bashing on specific calibers aside, you can purchase a complete upper in the $400 to $600 range from several different vendors. Be sure it's a complete upper, including BCG, bolt carrier group, or you're going to have to purchase your bolt carrier group separately, and that eliminates what I was talking about your matched headspace and lower risks. So purchase a complete upper. It's going to run you about $4 to $6. Now you see we're already halfway through that $1,000, and we haven't even gotten lower, which is what I'm recommending you assemble from separate parts. So you go with a Bear Creek Arsenal upper. This is one I have in 300 black. Now, I want to briefly gloss over and discuss caliber choice. I want to be really brief on this one. If you live in a state which requires straight wall hunting cartridges, I'm going to recommend 350 Legend first time around for your very first one. Recoil is very manageable. Potentially utilize it for hunting or plinking or anything else you want to do that is legal. For the love of God, please stick to legal activities with these friggin' things. We don't need any more legislation. They're also available commercially in sub and supersonic. If you are not in a state that requires straight wall hunting cartridges, I'm going to recommend that you start out with the 300 AAC Blackout. It's personally one of my favorite cartridges, and in my opinion, probably the most versatile cartridge there is. If you're loading it, you have a ton of bullet options and powder options. If you're not hand loading it, you have a ton of bullet options and speed options, super and subsonic, again, supers and subs. So you have a lot of choices and a lot of different uses that you can get out of that 380 AC Blackout, as well as very minimal recoil. I mean, very minimal freaking recoil. Now, get your caliber, buy yourself a complete upper from somewhere. You're already partway through that $1,000 budget, and trust me, $1,000 is really conservative for this project. Next, you move into your lower. You have a variety of different lower options. So I tend to go with Aero Precision or another company. And by another company, I mean pretty much anybody. Except, well, it's a spending issue and personal preference issue. Aero Precision manufactures a good quality product, in my opinion, in several different price lines. They're easy to assemble, and they're just a decent product. $200 more down the tubes, no matter where you come from on that one. Now, once you have your lower, you've still got a ton of different options available. You're going to need a parts kit. Look for a parts kit that does not include a trigger, so that you save a little money on that, because I do not recommend doing a build your own trigger. Get a drop in. This is a Rise Armament drop in that you probably can't see here. Run you between $80 to $200, depending on how hardcore you go and if you can find one on sale. So you're already at $300. You don't even have a grip. You don't have a lot of other options. You're going to need to decide what you want to go with for a buffer. So your buffer tube is this component here. This is carbine style, which is what I would recommend. There are two different categories of carbine style buffer tubes: commercial and mil spec. There, I would say to go with mil spec, personal preference. There are a lot of different companies. This particular tube and buffer assembly are from BLTOR. They are designed and tuned, according to the manufacturer, to reduce your recoil, to help make it more like a rifle amount of recoil, like a rifle buffer spring and buffer tube assembly, which is basically the best way to mitigate your recoil in the lower. So then you'll still need your buttstock and your grip. This is a Luth AR. This is a VLTOR. So this is a complete setup from VLTOR, which is going to put you over the $1,000 mark. I friggin' guarantee it. But it's a nice unit, and it's a pretty decent place to spend your money if you need to go over your mark. Your buffer and buffer tube options. Your tube options are relatively limited, like I said, but your buffer options are friggin' astronomically wide. I'm going to recommend the VLTOR because it's attuned and designed to set up to mitigate recoil. So instead of having to deal with a lot of other variables, that'll enable you to kind of get off the ground. So you assemble everything in accordance with a good set of instructions, which is part of your research. You need to be sure to find all your torque specs, your parts, your tool requirements. There are a number of sources for tools out there. Good kits from Wheeler, good kits from several other companies, and you can piece together a kit from multiple different sources. A lot of your stuff does not have to be from an armorer's kit. It can be from Harbor Freight, Cummins Tool, Amazon, some friggin' cheap Chinese knockoff stuff, just to have all the proper tools. Be sure that you practice safe procedures while working with these components and with these tools. Safety glasses, some sort of hand protection. You're going to pinch yourself, stuff's going to go flying. Minimize the risk to yourself before you even get out to the range, because it's going to really stink if you put a piece of brass through your eyeball and now all of a sudden you've got to change eye dominance because you forgot to use the proper safety tools. True story, guys. Don't F around. So once you have your basic unit down, and I mean, like I said, your basic unit down at $1,000, you still need to figure out your optics, magazines, and several other factors. So as I said, you can eat through that $1,000 real easy. Your basic options on your optics, and what I would recommend for starters, is one of two things. Even if you are going with a 350 Legend, I tend to go with a more rifle style optic on a 350 Legend. But an LPVO or a low magnification optic, i.e. 1 through 10, basically different optics have different magnifications, starting at 1, and some of them go to 4, some of them go to 6, some of them go to 10. Money. Or you go with a red dot with or without a magnifier unit. I would recommend going with a red dot and a magnifier because you can get in there relatively inexpensively, and a red dot has a lot of versatility going to other equipment. Worst case scenario, I picked up this set off of Amazon just over like right around 200 bucks including the magnifier. That should get you into a very basic build your own first AR. You're right around $1,000, not counting your tools, not counting your time, and not counting the hours of research that you need to do. I'll get a little deeper into some other calibers and a lot of other videos hopefully to come. I hope you like and subscribe to this video. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and although it was probably really boring, grind through this and a lot of other videos before you engage in attempting to assemble your own AR. It's hazardous, guys. It's shooting sports. There's a lot of things to be considered to maintain your own safety, and your own safety is the most important thing and the thing that needs to be stressed the most when dealing with anything involved in shooting sports or anything involved in the rest of your life, because let's face it, dead is dead. Cars, whatever. Planes, trains, and automobiles, firearms are not the only thing that can kill you. Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you'll tune in again later.